Hello, hello. It took me a few minutes to get on. Come in. Today is Tuesday. That means we are going to draw. Usually we draw or paint something, sometimes both. So today we're going to draw something. And you know what? I know drawing is intimidating. And for me, and I'm sure it's not the same for everybody, drawing something with just lines like this here in the photo is easier for me as opposed to drawing something like an animal. I can do it, it just takes me more time. This has not always been super easy for me as either because of angles. I've always struggled with angles, and doing houses um makes it even, harder because you got a lot of angles on the houses. But I will tell you, drawing the front view, just a flat front view of a house is a lot easier, hey Rose, than an angled view. So you want to start easy and simple. I started to do it super, super simple because there were some photos. I got this photo from Unsplash. There is the photographer there. Um, there were some super, super simple, like a triangle, square, and then a door, and that was basically it. I'm like, it's too simple. I think everybody can do that. Let's step it up a notch and do something a little more involved, but step by step. Rose, can you tell me if you hear me okay and everything's working all right? The last time I came live, things went crazy. All right. So we are going to take this one and do it step by step and break it down because it is a super simple one. And remember, you're not going to get it. Okay, good. Thank you. You're not going to get it right off the bat, and that's why you have erasers because you're going to use it quite often. And listen, don't be getting out that ruler. We're not worried about the ruler right now. We're just drawing for fun. If you want to have perfectly straight lines, you're doing a house portrait or something like that, and you want the lines to be perfect, then you get your ruler out. But listen, they don't have to be perfect and straight. And it makes it more painterly if and more artistic, in my opinion, if they are not perfect and straight. In fact, I want to get away myself from the perfect and straight house portraits so that it is more of a painterly style. And the way to do that is to just draw it freehand. So I want to help you with that. And we're just going to take this small little cabin right here and we're going to break it down into simple steps and draw it. And maybe next time we may do something a little more involved, like a side view. Those get a little difficult, the side views and things because of the angles. Hey, Mickey, but we'll just work it out and see how it goes. Okay, I'm gonna slide this over to this side so that all we are seeing is that little cabin. My printer is not working with me. It's got a paper jam and giving me a very hard time. All right, so I'm going to try to get this in the screen. All right, so when you're doing stuff like this, when you're just practicing, don't worry about getting it to scale or anything like that right off the bat. Just try to start somewhere and build off of that. You don't want to go too big. I have that problem. I usually go way too big and then I'm off the page. So start on a smaller scale. And we're just going to start in one location, okay? We're just going to start with one thing, like this triangle shape right here. And we're going to build off of that, all right? We're going to get that in and then build down the side just a little bit. And then we're going to come in and get the porch, the roof on the porch. And then we'll come down and get the side of the building. Step by step, and you before long you will have drawn this whole thing out and you'll be so proud of yourself. So let's see, let's start. one thing I want to tell you, if you get too skinny like this, that is gonna give you a difficult time, and, if you look at this compared to that photo is not this narrow with the triangle, so a way to help you out with that is to lay your pencil down right there and bring it over here and then draw in your angled line. That will help you get the angle just right, just like that right there. Like I can just do it. Bring it over here. You can do it this way or you can just freehand it on there. Now, I went down too far on this. And remember, you're going to be adjusting things and correcting them the whole time. And a problem that I have a lot is that I always have one lower than the other. So I'm just going to lay my pencil down right here. And I'm going to draw me a light line across there so I know where I'm going to. And then I can erase that. And I can pretty much guarantee you that that's not perfect. Not perfect. Nothing I do is on point. 100%. I can look at it and tell it's not perfect. I feel like this one's longer. But we're not going to sweat it. We're just going to go with it and see where it takes us. All right, so we have our roof line there. It looks a little lopsided or something. And if you notice right here, that line is doubled. So we could go ahead and pull that double line in here just by marking and copying that line right there. Just doubling it. You could have gone on the outside or the inside to do this either way. And then this little line right here on the edge, it's got little indentions and stuff. I don't pay attention to that so much. I just will draw a line that goes up at an angle like that right there. And the same thing on this side. You see how it will go up at an angle that way. All right. Come back down. All right. So we have the first part in, and now we're going to move on. So good morning, Jane. Going to move from here. Notice right here you've got short side edges. They're not very tall, and this is what you want to pay attention to. How far? It's not on the edge of that roof line. It comes in about however big that is. I don't know. I don't know the measurement. Somewhere like right here and right here. And then you can pull that line down. It's not very long, it's short. Excuse me. All right, so from there, let's take a look at the roof line again. Over here, you've got this angle that goes down, and it starts at the edge of that roof line there, and it is going to come straight down like that. It makes another little triangle kind of shape there. Now this is the part of the overhang that goes to down the side of the house. And then this side, you do the same thing. If you need to lay your pencil down, you can lay your pencil down, transfer it over to get the correct angle of that. Again, I struggled so long with my angles, and I still do at times, but this was one of the best tricks somebody ever showed me was to lay that down so I can one, it helps you to visualize it better for some reason, and then transferring it over. All right. Take a deep breath. We got that part done. Okay. So let's come in now and let's go ahead and before we draw anything up in here, let's draw in the porch roof on the porch right there. So it is basically a straight line that comes across, but it doesn't start on the edges. It comes inward a little bit and starts. So let's come in about It comes up, it's you gotta pay attention where it starts and all the different little lines. You always wanna pay attention to where they begin. Um, so this one comes up from the bottom of this line a little bit. So up here, it's gonna go up. So somewhere and over, somewhere right in here and right in there. And then we can draw that line straight across. And notice that my lines are not, my little dashes were not in the correct place. It doesn't matter if I'm using a ruler, they're not going to be in the correct place. The best thing I have found, if you like straight lines, is a T-square. This is a lifesaver for people like me who can't draw a straight line with a ruler. I cannot do it. So a T-square helps me out a lot when I need to do something straight. All right, so we have this from A to B right here. You just want to pretty much try to keep it about the same side distance on both sides here. And now here comes the angle. So you got your angle that comes down this direction that we have to put in. And notice how far it comes out from the house. So we're just going to come in and put our angle in and come out. It's a little bit past that angled line there, but not a whole lot. So I've got that in. Now I'm going to come over and put this one in. And then I can adjust these lines as needed right here, whether I needed to make them shorter, longer, or whatever. All right, so we have that part in. If you notice on the sides of the house here, you can double that line because that is trim that is on the side of the house. And again, I'm not trying to get it just right. My lines are all wonky. When you are just doing this to play, don't worry about those lines being perfect, even when you're not doing it for play. All right, so we have these two rectangle windows. So let's just come. mm, I'm going to just come over about the same distance for the outside edges. And then I'm going to draw the inside edges. And there's a little gap in between the windows that's helping me to know how big to draw those windows because of that gap right here. And then how far I had to come over from the edge of that top of that roof. So that helps you with perspective and knowing how big things actually are. So drawing me a little. Sometimes I get carried away and they tend to be bigger and smaller if I'm not really paying attention, but that's where the eraser comes in. That window is clearly bigger than that window. Clearly. So we can just enlarge it a little bit. Just like that. And now it has trim that goes around the window. It has a little overhang up here. I'm just going to put over the top. And then we're going to come down the side. And then it comes out. Sometimes these parts up here and here will be longer than the window, but this appears to be the same. All right, and now we have our window panes. You can just lightly draw some lines in here, depending on what you're going to do with this when you get it drawn. Are you going to paint it? You could leave out this part, and you can just paint that in later. You can paint the windows and then come in with your white lines and put those window panes in. When you're doing it for painting, you want to just do the simple basic lines and not all these little details like in the door and stuff like that. That you will bring in afterwards, after you get it painted mainly and do the detail work. Here we are going to draw a triangle. You just want it to line up with the top of that roof line there. You want that to match. And then come down and draw the bottom. And then we can put trim around that. And again, if you just get the basics in when you are going to paint it, then you can come and bring this trim in later too. It doesn't have to be drawn off. Look at there. We almost have a house. All right. So now let's come on down and worry about this, the roof on the porch. Wouldn't you just love to go stay here in this little cabin? All right, let's pull this line across, and automatically I see my lines don't match up. All right, and you've got a little piece of trim up here. You can choose to put it in, take it out, anytime you're doing something like this, you can, hey, Laura from Illinois, you can leave it in, take it out, whatever you want. But what I would say is to pull this all the way across. That's what I would do. If I were doing this, I would just pull that all the way across. And then I'm going to come down. There's a little piece of trim right here, right up under it. I'm going to just double this line. And then this is a straight line that goes up and down on both sides. Now you can see that is not straight by any means. All right. Now perspective, 1 point perspective is something you really need to learn, with things going back like a sidewalk, a tree line, things like that. I'll have to show you other examples. This one's not extreme, but it is a little bit there. So that means that you will have a line that comes straight down, and these are going to slightly angle. This one's going to slightly angle that direction. And then this side is going to angle toward this line right here. It's going to start slightly going in that direction. It's not going to be dramatic. You can see right there, it's not very dramatic. But the closer it gets over to that line, the more it's going to match up to it. I can see, y'all can't see right there, it looks like. What's washed out on my computer screen. All right. You can see how wavy that line is right there. All right. We're going to move on down. We're getting there. You could even, draw another little piece of one out there. All right. So now we're going to come and do our porch. Let's don't do the porch railings yet. Let's draw the house, the actual house line. Let's come down because that's going to be easy to match up right here. We're going to come to that outside line and draw that straight down. Can y'all believe you're actually drawing a house? I'm going to double that line just like the top part. Now, this has a porch that extends past it. We're not going to do the porch just yet. Or maybe. Let's do the window. Let's do the window. We might need to do the bottom edge. Let's just go ahead and bring the bottom edge straight across. All right, and now our window, we're going to pay attention to where the window is in perspective to everything else. So, in perspective to these windows, the side of the house right here, the bottom, up, coming up from the porch. And let's see. And it's basically a square. It's really probably two rectangles, it looks like. But to me, you could just draw it as one big square like that. A little more than a square, more like a rectangle. So it comes in from the edge. And you can draw it lightly to start with if you want to. And then let's go ahead. I'm just doing that first top line. Let's go ahead and put our door in. That window ends, the trim of it ends right smack dab right here. So you can come down and judge it that way. This door comes about to the edge of that window, and it comes down from that porch roof line. And then we can come across and down. And now I'm going to pull in the lines for my window. I could probably bring that down a little bit further, but I'm going to go ahead and put trim. I was going to erase that. I still might, because I want to do a skinnier trim. I'm going to come on the inside and draw that trim in, just doubling the lines that I have in there. Anybody drawing with me, or are you going to do this later? Or are you not doing it at all? It's not that hard, I promise you. All right, so if you want to get technical with these, it looks like there may be a separation mark right here. So let's go ahead and put that separation mark. I'm going to erase this and make it two windows. And then it has like planks of wood that are drawn in here. And then it's got two pieces of wood that go across like they are shutters on the window to keep people or weather and animals and stuff like that out. So you can put that in or you cannot. And if you're doing stuff like this, add to it. Take away from it, add to it as much as you want to. Make it yours. All right, so let's come over to the door. The door, you've got this window that comes down. It's a rectangle. So I'm going to come in and draw a rectangle. It doesn't come all the way down as far as those windows do. That helps me judge how far to come down. And then I've got some door trim right in here. It looks like there's two longer rectangles right there. So I'll come right in here. And I probably came down too far because I needed to leave a little bit more space at the bottom. Can you hear my dog snoring? Something like that. And then there is some trim at the bottom of the door. And then there's trim that goes around the door. All right. Now, again, if you were just going to draw this, we can draw this stuff in. If you're going to paint it, I would paint this first and then bring in this detail work. So, I'm going to, there's three lines that are coming down. 1, 2, 3. And then what it appears to be are X's right at the top. And you just want those to be same going all the way across. And then You can put in the door handle if you want, or you can just, mimic something that looks like a door handle. It doesn't have to be exact. I never try to get those exact. All right, so we have all the detail parts of the porch area in. Now we need to actually put the porch in and then the post and our little bench that we have right there. All right, so this is where it can get a little bit tricky, but let's come out from here. Let's look at the roof line of the porch. Notice the angle. This comes out straight there, comes down. You're going to see some of the underneath. I'll put an F on the end of that, of the porch. I'm going to come down about this far and draw a short line. And then from that line, maybe that's too long. I'm trying to judge how to get all this in here in one little area because I got to come back in. If you notice, there's an angled line that comes right here from the edge of the porch. And then there's a pole that comes down here. You can go ahead and bring that angled line on back a little bit. And then there's another pole right here. So I'm going to double that line for that pole. The bottom I'm not so concerned with at the moment. I'll fix that when I get down there. Right now I just needed to get that angled right there just right. And then it's going to come over this direction from there. There's another piece that goes across here that's up under the porch. You can leave that. You can do it or you can leave it, whatever way you want to do it. All right, so if that will help you can kind of darken in these posts. So that will help you know what's what when you get over here and they're confusing a little bit. All right, so let's look at the bottom here. I did go ahead and draw one a little bit longer, not on purpose. It just happened that way, but that is actually what is going to happen here so that we get this angle correct back here. The angle is going to go back just like that. And then we're going to come across that line. And if you need to lay your pencil down to get that angle, that's totally fine. There is a little box that comes on the bottom of that post. You can put it in or you can leave it out. And then from the bottom of the post, I'm going to come down well, it's at the very edge of it. I'm going to come straight across. Not worrying about this side just yet. And then double that with a skinny line. That's the very edge of the porch right here. That part right there where you see the wood, the sides of the wood planks that come out. And now we're going to pull down. This is the facing that goes at the bottom. It's a little bit wider. Pull that across. And now I'm going to move over a little bit. And let's start putting in our other post. We got this post. And that is located right smack dab in the middle of these two windows, but over to the left just a little bit, just a tiny tad, and it comes down to the top edge right there. And then I'm just going to shadow that in so it shows up better. And then it has that little box built around the bottom. And now let's move over. And we have the one by the door. And it butts up right with the door. So that same line that I had coming down, I'm just elongating it, making it go all the way to the roof. And then pulling this one down. And it's not going to stop at the door. See how I have it stopped at the door right now? We're going to bring it on down to the edge of that porch. And then we're going to draw a little box right there. All right, let's come on over a little bit. And then we have this post that comes from the door just a little bit over here. Bring it down to the porch. And put the little box on it. All right, we've got those in. Now we can move on over and do the same thing that we did over there over on this side. So I'm just going to pay attention up here first. We've got the angled line that goes back. This is the side of the house right here. So I took it too far back. And then it comes straight across. And we have a post that comes down from that edge. And it stops back. It doesn't come as far down. It's further back. And it's going to be a little bit smaller too. And then I don't think, I know I don't. It's not a thinking problem. It is a knowing problem. I don't have that angled far enough out right there because I don't have space to put the other pole. That tells me that I did not draw it just right. So I need to adjust it just a little bit. Elongate it, and then I can bring my front post down, and it comes all the way to the porch. Remember, one is shorter because that's going to give you the appearance that it's further back. And that's too big right there, and I went too far down. I went past the porch. Hold on. Let me fix this. Somewhat fix it. All right. And now the porch extends out. Actually, that's too far down because it's below the porch. So let me just bring the porch across. Then I'll put my box back in. And then it angles this direction toward that post right there. Now we can bring down our sides of the porch right there. And we have almost completed this whole house. All right, so we have our little posts that come down from the porch, and you actually see up under it. So we've got one that comes over just a little ways in from the edge, and then this one comes right up under that post. And then this one comes right up under this post. These are just supports, so that's all hanging in there at the same place. Let's skip the steps. We're going to come over and put one in right here. All right. Now let's come up here and put our little bench in. If you want a bench, you don't have to have a bench. If you get technical with the porch and put those lines in there, you want to start coming straight out this way, and then you start doing that angle again, going to the left this direction with your little lines. Same thing over here. You start going angled in the opposite direction. So now I'm going to come in and put a little bench. Draw me an angled line there. Draw my seat. It goes up at a slight angle right here. Another angle over here. Double that line. Draw my little footing. Doesn't have to be exact. That went too far back, but I'm going with it. So I'm a little bench in there. Hey, Anna, thank you. All right. You can come in here now and draw. Remember, you don't have to be super, super detailed with this. It depends on how loose of a painter you are or drawer or whatever. Um, if you are super crazy about straight lines, then you can come in here and get your T-square and start drawing skinny little lines across here. I'm not that person generally, somewhere in between, really. I would just do it in the base color and then start doing some of the opposite, the lighter colors, and throwing some of those colors in like this with my paintbrush and loosely putting them in and not trying to get 100,000 little pieces of wood coming across there. That is not who I am at all, but you may be, and it may be you may be super realist when it comes to your stuff. So it's okay to be who you are. You don't have to be somebody else. And then down here, what generally it doesn't really show this a whole lot in this photo is that you're going to be a little bit darker more than likely under this porch than you are up here. So it will be more in shadow down here. And I just lightly put lines in. You can barely see them. You can see the light is shining from here. You can see a shadow that comes up here. You may not have seen that right off the bat. So let's go ahead and just kind of draw a line that meets up right there. All that's going to be in shadow. So we're just going to shadow it in a little bit. So the light is coming from here, and you can see that shadow on the ground over here. There is a shadow area right up under here. It's not as big as that side over there. And I see it much darker right here. There is a shadow. If you really pay attention now and start looking for them, it's kind of like a scavenger hunt. Now I start seeing that all that goodness is subtle on this one. It's not as bright as in some other photos, but there's an angled line that comes down to the bench and then it turns and goes straight. That is light shining right there on the edge of that house. So I'm going to draw the angle line in. That part right there is light. I'm not going to shadow that. It will stay the same color. All this will be a little bit darker up in here. That makes sense? And if you really look, there's shadow from that bench right there casting right here. But there is a super big one right here. Do you see that one? That is coming from the light coming this direction and casting a shadow from that post right there. And then I see something that looks similar to a line coming over and down like that. Once you get the shadows and stuff, you start seeing them. I mean, it's just going to come second nature to you. and you'll never have to really worry about it. I see one coming right here, and it could be the wood, but I think it's a shadow. It's hard to tell with this one so much with all the wood up there. And usually you're gonna have you got some darkness under here and right in there. We didn't draw those little lines in. So right along the edges, right in here in the window, you're gonna have darkness along the edges. Then you got some right around here. And then sometimes you're gonna see more of one side of a window than you will of another. Like you might see, depending on the angle of the house and how the light is shining, you may just see a little bit of one side and a lot more of another. Just darkening around the windows a little bit. All right. Also, notice the shadow on the ground right up under the house. You've got a little bit of a line that comes down and goes back at an angle, and then it comes down this way, back out, something like that. Doesn't have to be exact. And then everything, you've got little pieces of grass that come up periodically around. I forgot to put the steps in. Everything back here is super dark. There is no light shining up under there. So you could do that if you wanted to do it the same color, with the grass, you could just darken a deep, deep, deep green color and put it back up under there. It's almost black. You could just get away with yellow and black, making a green and just use way more black. Let me go ahead and put the steps in while I darken this. All right, so they are at a slight angle. Slight, super slight. This way. It starts right up under that post. Pay attention to these things when you start doing this because your mind is going to tell you one thing and it's not always going to be correct. Um, and then you can start putting just come over the edge a little bit. We're going to come down and do another one. And then another one. There's something down here, but I'm not going to worry about what that is. And now I can finish doing that. Actually, that didn't come all the way out. That stopped about right here. And then we have shadow right over here that comes from the edge of the porch. I just can try to mimic what I see and drawing it in. And there you go. That's your shadow work on there. And then if you want to come in and get really fancy and start drawing the tree lines, you see that this grassy area here, you want to see where it starts at. It starts right back at the back of this post right here and comes across. Same thing over there. So about the same distance. You just come out this way. And then you've got a tree line along about right here. Same thing over here. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm just going to mimic something in here. It comes up maybe along that roof line. This is where I've always gone wrong at. judging it on my own, I never would get the trees right. So if you just judge it by the house and where it starts from the house, then you'll pretty much get that right. Something like that. You can't even see that, can you? But, okay, a little bit. And then I'm gonna come over this far and just scribble something in. And then you've got the actual trees that come up. Some of it you'll see and some of it you won't. And then you can, draw in actual trees, something like this. Let me pull it over here. You can make that dead tree. You can put that dead tree in there if you want to, or you can leave it out. Remember, you can leave it out as much as you want and put in as much as you want. So now I'm going to pull these trees up. I'm just randomly throwing some in here real quick. Then we've got some greenery. I'm just kind of lightly putting them in like that. And there's a little piece of a tree back there. And then you've got the dead tree if you want to put it in. And it's got lots of little limbs that come off and go in different directions. There we go. That's our little house. Our little bitty house. We can put the front of the grass right here. Now, how many of you did this and how many are you going to do this? Let me know. Let me know if that was intimidating to you or if breaking it down like that made it a whole lot easier. I'd love to hear that. I hope you're going to say it makes it a whole lot easier because you just are drawing triangles and rectangles and squares. That's all you're doing when you're doing a house like this. Yay, Rose says she can do this. Yes, breaking it down like that is everything. And now, wouldn't this make just the cutest little painting? Um, so you remember too, you can just use this as a base. If you find photos out here like this, use it as the bones is what I call it. The building can be your bones and then you can change this up to be a white house. It could be a greenhouse. It could be whatever you want to. Rose says she's going to try watercolor. That'd be nice. Um, you can make it be anything you want to. Another thing you could do, without all the detail and stuff in here, you could just use it for the bones and turn it into a church or something out in an old country church, something like that would be super fun too. So, think outside the box. You can also come in here with some bushes in the front, like this. I'm just scribbling. You can put a sidewalk. Now, remember this was angled a little bit, so the sidewalk will be angled as well, like that. And then you could come in with a picket fence right out here. There's so many things. So don't be afraid to find photos that you can use just as the bare bones and turn it into whatever you want to turn it into. Laura says, I've been wanting to do a painting of my grandparents' house for the family reunion. This lesson would be most helpful with that. That is fantastic. I would love to hear that. You can go as far with the fence as you want to. And then when you start to put the fence in the back, then you're going to kind of angle. You'll have an angled line like that. It won't be straight back. More than likely, it'll be something like that. Same thing over here, and you may not see all of it. You're only going to see a piece of it because of where it is here on the paper. And then whenever this is your 1 point perspective lesson, everything goes back at an angle, remember? But all the lines like these right here, they're all going to come straight down. Your angle lines go back, but the ones that are the sides of the house, the posts, all the posts will come straight down, just like that. And then they will get closer as they go back and smaller. So I hope this lesson has it did have a lot of good stuff in it. I hope you get a lot out of it and take it and run with it and do something courageous. All right. Let me know if you do something. Even if you do this, and if you draw along with me, put it down here underneath the photo, the video. I'd love to see what you do. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Remember, we got to start somewhere. And the more you do like this, every single day, one little thing, you could just work on this house or any house and just take one section at a time and work on it one day. And then the next day, add the porch roof. And the next day, add in the bottom part. And eventually, you'll have a whole house done in no time at all. Okay. And I would love to see what you do. You're welcome, Laura. Y'all have a great day. Oh, let me hold on a second. Hold on. I get carried away. Get carried away. So bad. All right. There were two things I wanted to mention. I love this. I think this looks really cool. Look at that. Y'all can do this too. Sometimes I'll just see pictures, come across my feed and Facebook or whatever, Instagram, and I'm like, oh, that's what happened yesterday with the little house. It came across my feed, and I'm like, I was just in one of those moods where I was like, just can't paint. I can nothing I do is good. So I just started drawing, and it still lets me be creative, and it's very therapeutic. But what I want to tell you is today is the last day of the PJs and Paint. That's super important. Super important. It's the last day until midnight. You can still sign up for the PJs and Paint Academy. It is currently $42 a month, and that price when we reopen in the fall will be going up. So if you've ever questioned yourself or whatever, a little bitty spark, maybe I would like to jump in there and play around with these ladies, then now is your time to do that before that price increases. So we would love to have you. The other thing was the new collection of paintings that I'm doing. I have a sneak peek before I put it up there. Y'all get to see it if I can find it. There it is. I put it up here to take pictures, and then my phone died, and then I forgot what I did with it. This is the sneak peek, the number 4 painting of the floral collection, and you can see it up close there and see the little details. I will be posting this later, but I wanted to give y'all a little sneak peek of it. So you can do stuff just like this in the PJs and Paint. So if you're interested, then come join us. Another thing I wanted to show you real quick that goes along with this lesson that we just did with painting. You don't have to put all the details in, like on this log cabin right here. You didn't have to put all that wood in there. Like I said, you can just lightly come across with the lines to mimic what is there. It doesn't have to be the real thing. And I just did a church painting the same way. It's a brick church, but I didn't put a single brick in it. And you can see it right here because one, I had to keep it super simple because it is for a sipping paint, but it works. You don't have to put every single brick in the church. And a lot of times when you're doing a painting like this, you don't have to do the whole church. You can just put a few bricks in here and there, just little strokes of darker color, lighter color to give you the illusion of a brick church or building or house or whatever. You don't have to brick the whole thing. Because who has time for that? All right. Y'all have a great day. And if you have any questions about PJs and paint or this drawing or anything else, just give me a holler and let me know. Comment down here below if you're watching the replay and whatever. I'll talk to you later. Bye.